Good day, viewers, and welcome to another OnSide SA soccer show. Paul is away in the UK visiting his family, and joining me as always from his Fulham studios in the UK will be our regular correspondent Stevie Braham. But we kick off as always with our post-net last one standing competition, and unfortunately we will not be having another competition this season. We need at least 11 rounds, and because there's only 9 rounds in the FA Cup semi-final in between, I don't think it's fair to pocket the money and have another competition. Our two ladies, Fiona Trisman and Tracy Anderson, will continue this weekend to finalise who wins our ladies competition. But guys, to Postnet, to Chris Wheeler and all the gang there, thank you very much. And we hope to continue sponsorship next season, which starts in the middle of August. We now go over to our UK correspondent, Stevie Braham. Good morning, Steve.
Hi, Budge. Morning.
No pressure anymore till August with a competition, so
yeah,
plenty of time to enjoy it. Steve, England's performances against...
pretty mixed.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it was an opportunity for Gareth Southgate to look at a few players. I think one or two have come in and obviously, maybe got a tick in the box, but others had sort of poor games. I thought they started well enough against Brazil.
Yeah.
Brazil looked a little bit disorganised, but in the end we ran out of steam and obviously had one or two injuries. I thought we played well in patches against Belgium, but
yes,
the two shocking defensive mistakes that gifted Tielemans his goals. I mean, he couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But we deserved a draw out of that game, certainly. But for me, I guess the standout performance against Belgium that nobody expected was Kobbie Mainoo, and the papers here are raving about him, thinking he should be he should have his name on the on a travel documents to go. So I think it's evidently the squads have been reduced from 26 to 23. Okay. So it's going to be tough for a few players who they're talking about players like Jack Grealish, who who's been in and around a lot of squads, but saying that he might not make it. So it's going to be interesting. I think I don't think it's over for players who haven't yet shown, but I think he's probably got a good idea who his 23 might be, Gareth Southgate, after that. The injuries permitting, of course.
Yeah, will he take 3 or 2 goalkeepers?
Normally take 3, just in case. Whether or not, if somebody got injured early on, they're allowed to bring a replacement in, but normally bring 3. But obviously then it only leaves 20 outfield players, which you get 1 or 2 injuries, and all of a sudden you haven't got enough on the bench to really for the length of the tournament.
Yeah, I think Mainoo has to go, Steve. One thing about him, he plays forward. These other midfield players play sideways and backwards. At least he has the ability to beat a player. And when you have a look going forward, you need those through passes. England haven't had that for ages, and I think he's a certainty to go. I think he's got Henderson, I know that's his boy, but if Henderson goes before Mainoo, I think the press will be in total collapse. But for me, Mainoo...
I think you're right. I think you're right. Also, he's at that age. He plays without fear.
Yeah.
And look how young that midfield would be. Really, with sort of Rice, Bellingham, Mainoo. I mean, probably one of the youngest in the tournament, but all great players. So, I think his problem is going to be who he leaves out rather than who he brings in, because there are players there that in the past have played. Even sort of Rashford. I mean, he didn't play him, but obviously he normally would pencil that name in. Yeah, I can't see Phillips will go. I can't see Phillips has got no chance. Sterling's out of the squad now, so he's got his eye on sort of younger players. I guess it's the other question is, for example, who goes as the real backup number 9 to Harry Kane.
Yeah,
he tried Watkins and Tony. Both did okay. I wouldn't say much better than that, but we could have done with Harry Kane in both games. We just sort of lacked a little bit of cutting edge.
Yeah, I think Ivan Toney will go before Watkins. I just think he's a better target man. He holds it up. But anyway, there's a couple of weeks' time, and you never know with injuries.
Yeah,
Steve, it's Premiership weekend. We'll start on with the Premiership because there are games on Friday and Monday in the Championship. But the first game is Newcastle West Ham. How do you see it going?
Yeah, look, I mean, both have still got sort of aspirations to get a Europa place or a conference place. West Ham have just got just a little bit 4 points or 6 points clear of them at the moment. This is a big game for Newcastle. They can't afford to slip up. They've still got 1 or 2 injuries, some key players out for the rest of the season. I think they're starters favourites, but West Ham have got some good players on their day. They've obviously got big European games coming up, but I just got a feeling that Newcastle, for them, this is a huge game. I think they need these 3 points, and I think they might just edge it.
Yeah, West Ham are unbeaten in 4 after all the flack David Moyes has taken. They've done quite well in the last 4. Steve, I think this is going to be tight. I don't like the early kickoffs, especially after an international weekend, players coming back. I agree with you, siding with Newcastle. Well, I think the bet here is a draw at 3-1. I haven't had a bet in any of my bets, but I find this a hard one to call, so I would sit in the fence and take the 3-1 Newcastle. Bournemouth, Everton, Steve. I fancy a team here. Which one do you think it is?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is Everton are really in trouble. They're the sort of draw specialists, but they can't win. I think Bournemouth, if they show the sort of fight that they did in that second half against Luton, they've beaten them already this season. I fancy Bournemouth, but Everton can't afford to keep losing. I think they're capable of a draw, but Everton's problem, they're not scoring goals. Yeah. If it's not one of their defenders scoring, then where are the goals coming from? So I think for me, Bournemouth slight favourites.
Yeah, I'm the other way, Steve. I fancy Everton. I'm a value bet of the 22-10. I watched them at Old Trafford against United. They had 23 shots on goal. I've never seen a team with as little luck as this. Calvert-Lewin, another 10 days to get prepared. If he's not ready, they're in trouble. But I just think this is a day where they're going to come back. Bournemouth are one of those teams that give you chances. And Everton have got a lot of big boys and set pieces. I think Everton are going to cause an upset here, Steve. I took 16-10 them to score over 1.5 goals. I think there will be goals because Bournemouth do score. But, when you concede 3 goals at home to Luton, if Everton score 2 goals, I don't believe Bournemouth are going to score 3. So I'm taking a chance on Everton. As I said, I watched them against Man United. The balls were coming across and you just couldn't believe it. An inch here, an inch there. A bit kamikaze at the back, Everton, but I'm going to chance Everton getting it right this weekend. Chelsea, Burnley, Steve. Easy game for Chelsea.
You would think so. I mean, again, Burnley obviously had a win last time out, although they were playing against 10 men. Chelsea have got sort of one more game than most teams still to play. They're going to still look at a potential European place. But you have to think that Chelsea are going to be favourites. Burnley, they're not far adrift because of the fact that Forest lost those points, but you expect Chelsea to win this. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think Chelsea to win and both teams to score, yes. I fancy Burnley to score. They've got to have a go, Steve. So I saw that at 17-10, so that's my selection for that game. I have been impressed with Chelsea going forward. Obviously, Cole Palmer has looked the real deal. I know Sterling had a nightmare the other day, but Burnley are too nice a team to play against, and I think Chelsea will play through them, and a comfortable victory is my suggestion. Big game at the bottom, Steve. Notts Forest, Crystal Palace. How do you see it?
Yeah, very much so. Forest have still got a few players out injured.
Yeah.
I understand that both Awaniwi and Wood might have fitness tests before the game. Look, Forest, obviously, having lost those points, I know they're appealing, but on the basis they probably won't get them back. This is a game that they have to feel they're going to get something.
Yeah.
With Luton sort of, and Everton sort of Brentford within touching space, I think. I fancy Forest. They are hard to beat at the City Ground, but Palace are a funny side. They don't lose many, but they're a hard team to beat, but they don't win many. They've got injuries. I mean, I think if Eze is fit and plays, then I think they've always got half a chance. But Gahey is out and Decore probably out. So I think Forest for me slight favourites, and I think that might just get them out at the bottom 3.
Yeah, I totally agree. Palace are unbeaten and 8 away from home. Sorry, haven't won and 8 away from home. But I'll have a look at the bookings here, Steve. This is a pressure game, and I think there'll be tackles flying here. So that's my suggestion. But this could go either way. But if Eze and Elise start running amok, you never know. But I like Forest at home. They've always been competitive. And you have a look at that Liverpool game, Steve. Liverpool, classy side. They scored the last kick of the game. So I don't see Forest losing. That's for sure. Steve, we spoke prior to the show, Fulham, after you've cemented Tottenham and sent Paul overseas. This is a great chance for other 3 points. Surely you can't let the supporters down here?
Well, this is a bit typical Fulham. Obviously, we probably have our best home performance, beat Tottenham 2 weeks ago, and we go to Sheffield United, who've got the worst home record. For Sheffield United, they can't afford to lose many more now because they've got 1 foot in the Championship.
Yeah.
I think they'll throw everything at us, but if we've got a fully fit squad, I think anything other than a Fulham win will be disappointing.
Yeah. Rather than taking 7 or 10 Fulham, I think there has to be goals. I went over 2.5 goals, both teams to score. I think this has got one of these 3-1, 4-1 games, Steve, because they're coming. That you can put your life on. Sheffield United aren't going to sit back. And if your finishing's been very crisp of late, but I've got a fancy Fulham, but 7 or 10's a bit short for my liking. On to our second page, and Paul, who will be at the game, Tottenham against Luton. Surely this should be a comfortable home victory.
Well, they have to win, really, don't they, after the slip-up at Fulham. Again, they should have the majority of the squad sort of fit and available.
Yeah.
Luton, for all Luton have sort of made themselves hard to beat, they're not winning games.
Yeah.
And I think that it'll be pretty physical. I mean, the one thing that Luton going to give is effort, and I think that they'll. But if Tottenham can score early, the floodgates could open.
Yeah.
I think Tottenham are going to win this, but they're going to have to work hard. They can't just take it for granted because Luton will have a go. That's one thing.
Yeah.
They might lack in quality, they don't lack in effort. So for me, I think Tottenham, but Luton are going to make them work hard for it.
Yeah, if ever there's a game with goals written on it, it's this. Luton have scored in the last 17 league games, and it was 10 of the last 11 away from home. So Tottenham to win, both teams to score. It's short at 12-10. I think Scotland will score a hatful here. Tottenham to score over 3.5 goals with 15-10. That may be a bit high, but there has to be goals in this particular game. So to me, Tottenham are the best bet over the weekend in the Premiership, but goals is definitely the best way to go. Aston Villa Wolves, Steve, Birmingham Derby. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I think that again, sort of Villa can't afford to sort of slip up. They've got sort of Tottenham chasing them. I think at home they should be too strong. Wolves are obviously one of the surprise teams, really.
Yeah.
That with everything that happened at the beginning of the season, they've done so well. They're obviously shell shocked after losing that cup game recently, but they still got 1 or 2 key players out injured. Pretty certain Neto's going to be out.
Yeah.
I think Villa should be too strong and win that.
Yeah, the only thing with Villa is John McGinn's suspended. He seems to be the guy that gets them going. Local derbies, I think both teams to score is a certainty. I agree, Villa. But, Villa have lost 3 of the last 4 at home. So, that invincible home form is gone. And local derbies, very tough to call. And Wolves, surprisingly, haven't lost in the last 4 games at Villa Park. So, interesting. But for me, it's Aston Villa and the draw. Steve, Brentford, Man United. I know United got lucky beating Liverpool. I think this is the banana skin of the weekend. What do you think, though?
Well, I mean, look, beginning of last season, it was that huge win for Brentford that sort of shocked everybody. But but they're having a really bad run, Brentford.
Yeah.
They can't afford to lose again. But United are going to look above them and think, well, this is a game they have to win.
Yeah.
Look, they showed a huge amount of spirit and fight to beat Liverpool. It was a real classic game. I think United, if they turn up, and we're not sure if Højlund is fit. If Højlund's fit, I think they could go to Brentford and win. I think there'll be goals, definitely. I think both teams will score, but I think United have got the quality to just edge it.
Yeah, just that tight pitch, and United try and play football, and Brentford aren't going to let them. I know Brentford have got several injuries, Ben Mee, and there's 1 or 2 others. And my concern with Brentford, they've only won 2 of the last 15, and they don't keep clean sheets anymore. But then again, neither do Man United. So both teams to score is my suggestion. I've got no faith in Man United, Steve. A great result. And I know a lot of guys have done well in Europe, but having watched them the last 2 games, I can't trust him. 12-10, I think, is a fair price. But I think that's more because of Brentford's bad form than United's good play. But anyway, I've gone for the smash in all the exotics. But let's hope United can try and close that European spot. On to Sunday, 2 good games. Liverpool-Brighton. Can Brighton cause an upset?
I'd be surprised if they do. I mean, look, they are a very attractive side to watch, but if you look at their league form in recent months, it's not been good. Liverpool
terrible.
Again with the other two big teams playing each other, they're going to look at this and think, look, we've got to win this, and I hope that at least one of the others, if not both, could drop points. So for me, I think the Liverpool home win.
Strange that Jurgen Klopp hasn't beat De Zerbi in 4 attempts. Lost 2 and drawn 2. That's the only thing I can see in Brighton's favour. I don't know. I think it's João Mario, the guy that plays up front, good player, but they got plenty of injuries. I think Liverpool will be sitting, waiting for them. Konate played for France, so he'll be back. I think Liverpool to win by more than 1 goal at 12-10's a play here. Got to fancy Liverpool all day. Steve, the big one, top of the league, biggest game of Europe this weekend, Man City Arsenal. How do you see it?
Yeah, that really is a big game, and it's in a way it's a shame it's not a few games time, because it could almost be, with respect to Liverpool, it could be a title decider. Yeah. Now, last season it was one of those games that sort of almost put paid to Arsenal, sort of challenged. City ran riot and won easily. I think this is going to be a lot tighter this year. Obviously, City have still got concerns over 1 or 2 injuries. Obviously, sort of Walker and Stones, who went off playing for England, may not be available. We don't know how fit Kevin De Bruyne is. From Arsenal, Saka obviously wasn't available for England. Hopefully for them, he's fit. I think this will be a close game. City aren't sort of rolling teams over as easily as they did last year, but I can see them cancelling each other out, but I'm not sure how brave Arsenal are going to be to try and go there and win it. I think that for me, City will still start as favourites. Pep sort of knows what he has to do to beat Arteta's team. He still has the magic sign over him. I think this will be a really good game. I can see it's City win by the odd goal in 3.
Yeah, I think this has got 2-2 written all over it, Steve. Arsenal, one thing about them, a lot more pace at the back, and Declan Rice is a major signing for me. Last year, you look in the middle of the park, they had Partey and I think it was Granit Xhaka. Now Arsenal look a lot more solid in the middle of the park, and they'll be throwing a few players forward. And the worrying stat I had for Man City was against the top 5 teams in the second half. They only scored 1 goal and conceded 6. I couldn't believe it when I read that. And just being at the Liverpool-Man City game, the second half, Liverpool were all over them, should have won the game. And if Pep doesn't get his ducks in a row, Man City got plenty of speed out wide, and this could be the upset for me. I've got a funny feeling Arsenal could do it. I just hope that Man City, I'm sick of them winning all the trophies and with 105 charges against them. I think it would be criminal if they won the league again. So I'm funking for Arsenal. I think this is draw, as I said, 2-2 written all over it, Steve. I haven't seen what odds they are. I may have a couple of rand on it. But I just hope Man City don't win. Steve, I've got to ask you this. Sorry?
I was going to say, if it does end up a draw, it could be Liverpool's weekend.
Yeah, you've got to think so. You're having a look at Arsenal and Liverpool are joint, and Man City are just behind them. But I think if even a point for Arsenal will be a good result. It's not easy going to the Etihad and getting anything. So avoiding defeat will be a good result. Steve, I have to ask you this. I've just got the Premiership outright betting. Man City 12-10, Liverpool 2-1, Arsenal 28-10. If you were having a bet, who'd you put your money on?
Well, I mean, certainly that's a good value bet for Arsenal because, for me, I mean, this season they're closer than they were. 28-10 is a good bet. Yeah. Look, I think it's hard to bet against City. Yeah. But we're going to know more at the end of Sunday afternoon because if one or other win, then you could look at that. If Arsenal come away and win, 28-10 would have been a fantastic. I mean, those odds would drop. Yeah. But I think at the moment it's probably still City, but they're just not as convincing, and they've got obviously huge Champions League games ahead of them. Yeah. If it is to be Arsenal's year, they've got to do it the hard way because they're chasing 2 teams, not just 1. So, totally it's still 9 games to go for the big 3. There's a lot to play for still. Yeah, let's hope it's a cracker. On to the Championship, and remember, as I said earlier, it is Friday's fixtures. There is a round on Easter Monday as well.
Steve, a team under pressure, even though they did play well in the FA Cup, is Leicester. Had a nightmare run of late in the Championship. Do you see them rebounding?
Well, they are having a nightmare run compared to some of the others. They've lost 3 of their last 8.
Yeah.
And they've got hanging over them now. They've pretty much been told if they do get promoted, it's quite possible they could end up with points deducted the next season.
Yeah.
And also, the EFL have put them on a transfer embargo. So if they don't get promoted, they're on a transfer embargo. So they've got a lot of pressure on them at the moment. I think they will start as favourites. But teams are really breathing down their neck, and if the form guide is anything to look at, and they carry on in the next sort of eight games or so that they have, they're going to get caught. But I think they've got to find a way to sort of put all this sort of outside talk of the points deduction. I think is a real distraction at the moment. So I think for me, just about favourites at the weekend.
Yeah, I fancied them big time. I think being in the FA Cup took the eye off the ball here. They had a great start, 8-10. Bristol City have lost 5 out of 6. I know I've watched them lately. I've backed them to score in a few games, which they haven't. Leicester played really well against Chelsea. By the red card, they were in the game. And I just think it's got to the stage now where it's put up or shut up. And 8-10, I think, is a good price. I've hummed and hawed because it's the early kickoff, but if ever the time, I think they are the best team in the league alongside Leeds United and Bristol City, a nice pitch away from home. I think Leicester City all day. Millwall West Brom, Steve. This should be a tight game.
Yeah, I think it will be. Millwall have just sort of picked up a little bit, making themselves hard to beat, particularly at home. But West Brom are scoring goals. I think West Brom, having a decent season. Their form is pretty good. I think it's sort of 1 defeat in 8. I think I can see West Brom getting something out of the game, whether or not they'll win, but I can see them at least getting a point.
Yeah, I totally agree. 11-10, both teams to score. I thought it was a gift in the Championship. I think we've got it on ESPN. It's the earlier kickoff, but I like what I've seen from West Brom. They should be in the playoffs, but Millwall have had a resurgence, so don't be surprised if this is a score draw. Cardiff City, Sunderland, Steve. How do you see it?
Yeah, Sunderland are having a pretty poor run. It's something like sort of 1 win and 6 defeats in their last 8.
Yep.
And they've really slipped out to contention. Cardiff, on the other hand, obviously they had a good win in the South Wales derby at home quite recently. Yeah. I think Cardiff will start as favourites, but Sunderland very disappointing in recent weeks. Yeah,
totally agree. Sunderland 1 point in the last 7. I watched the Cardiff City against Swansea. They got outplayed, but they got plenty of fight. Cardiff City, 16-10. I was going to make this my value bet of the weekend until I found Everton at 22-10. I'm all over Cardiff City, Steve. I like what I've seen. I think they'll have too much fight for Sunderland. So 16-10, I think is a good bet. Cardiff City, Coventry City, who got Man United in the FA Cup. Do you think that will be a distraction when they head to Huddersfield?
It could be, but having said that, they're still in contention for a playoff place. Yeah. Huddersfield obviously fighting, to pull away from the relegation zone. I think it's going to be a close game. Look, Coventry, it's bound to be a bit of a distraction. Obviously, the excitement of a semi-final for the first time in many, many years. But I think if they play with the sort of spirit as they did, I think they should be just too strong for Huddersfield. But it's going to be, they can't just turn up and think they're going to win. I think Huddersfield won't make it easy for them. Yeah, totally agree. Both teams to score I like there, but I don't know, there's nothing worse. Semi-final, your mind has to be on Wembley, but of the two teams, it should be Coventry. On to our second page, and we've got Hull City against Stoke City. I could have gone to watch Preston against Stoke City. Thankfully, I never. Stoke City were too physical, outplayed Preston, and then they got beat 3-0 at home by Norwich, which I couldn't believe. Hull City going well, Steve, unbeaten in 7, but they have drawn their last 4. Is 9-10 too short? Was it a decent price? It's probably just about right, I think. I mean, they are favourites. You're not sure what you're going to get with Stoke. They're having a very disappointing season. It was a big win for them to win at Preston because they'd found themselves in the bottom 3, but they're well beaten by Norwich last time out. I think that Hull will certainly start as favourites. They're obviously still in contention for a playoff place, so I think that they might just. I think it'll be close, but I think Hull for me. Yeah, and Stoke are just on the edges of relegation, so it's going to be a fight, that's for sure. Norwich City, Plymouth, Steve, comfortable home victory? It should be. If you look at the league table and look at the form guide, Plymouth hardly picked up any points in the last sort of eight games. Norwich, on the other hand, sort of lost one of the last eight, won five. Playoff places sort of beckoning for them. Yeah. So they're scoring goals. So for me, it should be a nailed on home win.
Yeah, I agree. Won the last 6 at home. 12-10 to win by more than one goal. But I got greedy. I went Norwich to win. Both teams to score, yes. One thing about Plymouth, they always have a go. But one win in the last 9 away, last league games, not for me. But Norwich should be good things. And my hometown boys, Preston, surely we got to beat Rotherham.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, Rotherham, I think it's something like 1 point they've picked up in the last 10 or 12 games. Yeah. I mean, they are, they could be relegated within a couple of games' time. I think, look, that game against Stoke that Preston lost, it was the only one they've lost in the last sort of 8 or so. So you'd expect it to be a banker home win.
Yeah, just that we seem to play better away from home, but at home. But if you can't beat Rotherham, then our playoff chances are null and void. Big game at the bottom, Steve. A resurgent QPR against a struggling Birmingham City. How do you see it?
It is a big game because Birmingham have got themselves in a lot of bother. I mean, I saw yesterday that, obviously, as you know, that Tony Mowbray is off on sort of sick leave for the rest of the season. They brought in Gary Rowett. Mowbray's number 2, Mark Venus, has been let go. They're obviously, there's a lot of upheaval in the camp. QPR, on the other hand, are showing, as you say, a bit of a resurgence and are pulling away from the, they haven't quite pulled away, but I think they win this. I think that they're looking fairly safe. And, I've got a feeling that should be a home win here.
Yeah, I think it is going to be. I think there'll be goals in this. Birmingham City, we had them on the box on ESPN a while back. They created a lot of chances. They just couldn't put it away. And I think as Djukovic came on up front, and it's route one, and that's what it's going to be. QPR have only lost 2 of 11. We had them on. They had a great result when they were on. I forget who they beat. But another victory here, and you're right, Steve. The hoops will be safe, but I've got a funny feeling there's going to be goals in this particular game. On to our last page of Friday's championship fixtures, and Sheffield Wednesday, Swansea, Steve. I think this will be a good game.
Yeah, I think it will be. Swansea, play some lovely football. They're just not, obviously they lost key players in the summer who would have made the difference. Yeah. Sheffield Wednesday, they've got half a chance of getting out of it, but it's still hard to sort of back them. I like Swansea. I think that I thought they were very unlucky. I watched the South Wales derby and they had a lot of the game. I've got a feeling Swansea might just go get a result. I think as a footballing side, I think they're better than Wednesday. Yeah,
no, totally agreed. But Sheffield Wednesday's last 3 defeats, Steve, were against the top 3 teams. So, they've won 5 and lost 3 of the last 8. But, you lose to, Ipswich and Leeds and Leicester. They were competitive in those games, even though they got beat. I watched them lose to Leeds 2-0 at home, and they had chances. I like Swansea, as I said, that Welsh derby. They really played well in the pouring rain. I think this has got goals written all over it, but 1-1 is my suggestion this particular game. Southampton, Middlesbrough. Big game for Southampton, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, look, Middlesbrough haven't shown a lot of form yet. They're a funny side. Could go and get a result when you least expect it. Yeah. Southampton have to win. Obviously, they're trying to keep coattails with the teams at the top. I'm not sure if they'll catch, if they'll make top 2, but obviously they'll playoff place. I think Southampton should win. They should be too strong, but I can't see them getting into that top 2 now. Southampton.
Yeah, a couple of 3 defeats in the last 6. Blackburn, a team that's only won 1 of 17. I couldn't believe it when I checked the stats. Against an Ipswich team, right there, automatic promotion places, Steve. Who do you fancy?
Yeah, for me, it's I was looking at that. I thought Blackburn have drawn 6 of their last 8, but they've only seemed to pick points up when Sammy Smodic score, who looks as if some bigger teams are looking at him. Yeah. Ipswich, on the other hand, 7 wins and a draw in their last 8. Come back really strongly, scoring on average 3 a game. And I just think that if they reproduce that sort of form, I think they'll have too much for Blackburn. And for me, I think that's an away win.
Yeah, John Dale Thomason, the Dane who got fired. My youngest brother Stephen works in Leyland. He delivers parcels of that, and he sees him fairly often. His kids are still at school in Blackburn, so he hasn't left. So but the chicken guys that own Blackburn, the fans are seething. They want them out, but no one's going to buy Blackburn in a hurry. So they could be in trouble. They're just on the edge of the relegation zone, but got to fancy Ipswich. But there will be goals. That's guaranteed. And last but not least, Steve, your brother's team, Watford, against the high-flying Leeds United.
Well, I think it's going to be hard to back against Leeds. 11 wins and a draw in their last 12 in the league. Scoring goals. But, they've got one or two injury concerns, but whoever they play up front, you think they're going to score goals. I think Watford will be competitive, and I think if they get anything out of it, would be a surprise. But for me, Leeds have to start as favourites.
Yeah, you watch, if ever there's a team that's flying high, it's Leeds United, 6-10. Even money, 11-10, Leeds to win an over 1.5 goals. That was my bet in that game. Steve, who do you think will win the championship?
It's a really good question now, because a couple of weeks ago, Leicester had that gap. For me, on form, I would have said Leeds. I just think that 11 wins and a draw in their last 12. If they keep up that sort of form and keep scoring goals, I think they'll win it. But it's going to be 1 from 3 now. I think Southampton just fallen away just a little bit. I'm not sure Ipswich will carry on this form for the next sort of 8 games. But I think Leeds might just pip Leicester.
Yeah, well, it's 19-10 Leeds, 5-10 Leicester, and 10-1 Ipswich. I thought was strange, but I agree. As far as the standings go, Leeds and Leicester 82 points, but Leicester have a game in hand, and Ipswich 81 points, 1 game more than Leicester. So will be a great. So it is Friday where we have the championship. So Friday, Monday, major weekend with 8 games to go in the championship. So plenty of pressure for the boys. Steve, I need your best bet and value bet, please.
I'm going to go for Ipswich as my best bet. I just think that they're scoring goals on a great run. I think it'll be a good result for Blackburn if they hold them, but I can see Ipswich winning that. Value bet is a bit tricky. I like Swansea. I just think that they thought they were really unlucky the other week. I just think they just have a little bit too much for Sheffield Wednesday. So,
mine is
gone for a number, but.
Yeah, that's a great price. Playing away from home, it tends to be amazing. If they were at home, there would have been odds on. They're away from home, they're like 16, 17-10, which is a fair price, and totally agree with that. I'm going for Valencia in Spain, Steve. I've watched them the last couple of weeks. They're slowly sneaking into that Europa Conference League place, playing a Mallorca team who's already in the Copa del Rey final. Nothing to play for. They are safe. So even money 11-10 Valencia. As I said, 22-10 Everton. I'm chancing what I saw at Old Trafford. They deserve to beat Man United, let alone get beat 2-0. And I think their luck's got to change sooner or later, Steve. And I like what I've seen from them. And one stat about Everton, and obviously being in the UK, you get more information. They have created the most chances of any Premiership team outside the top 3. So that's take Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal out. They've created the most chances. So imagine if you were afforded that team.
It says more about their lack of finishing up front, doesn't it? I mean, because their forwards are not scoring. The one thing that could sort of throw everything out, which is just the way it's been handled so badly, is that Everton still have in the next couple of weeks
financial fair play.
The financial fair play ruling, which could really throw it out. I mean, this whole situation of these rulings coming towards the end of the season. I mean, what should be happening is it should be reviewed in the summer and dealt with so that teams start off knowing where they're going to be. They're talking about Leicester. If this happens, Leicester could start the season with negative points, but at least then they know where they are. To deduct points from a team in the running like this when they think they're safe, or could be safe. I mean, if Everton lose any more points, it puts them in real pressure. So, I just think they've got to sort this out. I understand with the Forest one, the Premier League wanted more. They wanted 6 or 8 points, but it was the Commission that decided on 4. So I'm not quite sure why Forest think that appealing is going to help, because they broke the rules, and 4 was probably as generous as maybe that they were going to get.
Sure. Okay, well, I think it should be December or end of January. That should be it. Carry everything forward until the next season. If you haven't got the information before then I don't know. Steve, thanks as always, and we'll speak over the weekend, and I'm sure you'll bump into Paul within the next few days.
Okay.
All right,
Cheers,
Steve.
Budge.
All the
Have a good
best,
week.
eh?
Cheers.
Enjoy your Easter.
Bye.
On to the PSL, which returns this weekend. And first game up, we've got Cape Town City against Kaizer Chiefs. Always a tight game. 2-1 the draw at Athlone. Looks the right way to go. Cape Town City have struggled of late. I can't believe that. They've only won 1 of 7. But Chiefs have only lost 1 of 8. So be a tight game. I'm hoping there's goals because I'll be taping and watching it later. But 2-1 the draw for me is the right play. You know, Golden Arrow 6-10. That came off one bookmaking arm. I'm sure that's going to change. They have lost 9 of their last 11, up against the Richards Bay side, who have lost the last 5 away from home. The game's been played in Hammersdale. If ever there's a game that has 0-0 written all over it, it should be this one, but it won't be having my money. But if I had to side, I'd side with the draw. Polokwane City versus Chipper United. I don't see Polokwane City losing, despite their poor recent form, especially losing the last 3 at home. But Chipper don't score goals. If I had to side with a team, it would be Polokwane City. But another game where I think under 2.5 goals is the right way to go. But win and draw Polokwane City for me. Fancy Stellenbosch all day. I know Royal AM have improved of late. Maritzburg side, always hard to beat. But Steve Barker's got his guys in fine form. They're unbeaten in 11, 7 wins and 4 draws. And at home, 3 wins in the last 5. So if I had to have a bet in the PSL this week, it would be on Steve Barker's Stellenbosch. On to our second page, and TS Galaxy. Amazulu had a great cup result, but their form away from home hasn't been the best. They've only beaten Golden Arrows, and that was a KZN derby. TS Galaxy always hard to beat in Nelspruit. 4 wins and 1 defeat. That was to Super Sports. So of the 2, fancy TS Galaxy, but as always in the PSL, you have to put the draw in. Sekhukhune United, always hard to beat. They were involved in the CAF Confederations Cup. Unfortunately, they went out at the group stage. But at home, they're unbeaten in 6 at Petersburg. Orlando Pirates, second best team in the league, in my opinion. It will be a tight game. Under 2.5 goals is my suggestion. And another game where I think the draw is a massive player. And last but not least, Cape Town Spurs. 2 wins and 2 draws in their last 4 league games. Morocco Swallows, their managers left in turmoil. And they haven't won in 11 games, Swallows. So you can see why Steve Compella went in. Second bet of the weekend for me on Sunday, I'll be putting Cape Town Spurs at 14-10 in all my bets. On to our Saturday soccer exotics. And we kick off with our score 6. I've got Newcastle United to avoid defeat at home against West Ham United. I'm banking Chelsea to beat Burnley. The field in the Notts Forest Crystal Palace game. I think Tottenham Hotspur will be too good for Luton Town. I've thrown the draw in the Birmingham derby between Aston Villa and Wolves. And I don't trust Man United at Brentford 2-1-6. On to our second soccer 6, our PSL 1. I've gone the field in the Cape Town City Kaizer Chiefs and Golden Arrows versus Richards Bay matches. I don't see Polokwane City losing at home to Chipper United. And then 2 bankers. I'm going Stellenbosch to beat Royal AM, and I'm chancing TS Galaxy to beat Lesotho. Last game, Orlando Pirates win and draw against Sekhukhune United 2-1-6. On to our score 10 for Saturday. I'm going Newcastle win and draw against West Ham United. The field in the Bournemouth versus Everton clash. Chelsea should be too good for Burnley. Notts Forest win and draw against Crystal Palace. Signing with Fulham to be too good away at Sheffield United. On to the second page, I've got Tottenham Hotspur to beat Luton Town. Aston Villa win and draw at home against Wolves. AC Milan to avoid defeat against Fiorentina. Barcelona should be too good at home for Las Palmas in the field. In the Brentford Man United fixture, 288 Rand. On to the soccer 13 for Saturday. I'm going the field in the Brentford Man United game. Aston Villa win and draw at home against Wolves. Chelsea to beat Burnley. Tottenham to beat Luton Town. Notts Forest win and draw at home against Crystal Palace. And siding with Everton to avoid defeat at Bournemouth. Fulham at Sheffield United, they should be too good. And on to the second page, I'm going the field in the Lazio-Juventus match. AC Milan win and draw against Fiorentina, and ending up with 4 bankers. Valencia to beat Real Mallorca. Bayern Munich to beat Borussia Dortmund. Lyon to beat Reims, and Monaco to win at Metz 288. On to our budgies bets for the weekend, and I'm going Tottenham Hotspur to beat Luton and both teams to score. Over 2.5 goals, both teams to score in the Chelsea-Burnley, Aston Villa Wolves and Man City Arsenal games, 3,000 to 200. My team goals only sides are Chelsea, Everton, Wolves and Arsenal, all to score over 1.5 goals, 4,600 to 200. On to the championship, and remember this is the Friday bet. I'm going Cardiff City to beat Sunderland, Norwich City to beat Plymouth Argyle and both teams to score, and Leeds United to beat Watford and over 1.5 total goals, 2,600 to 200. My both teams to score sides are Millwall West Brom, QPR Birmingham City, Sheffield Wednesday Swansea City and Blackburn Ipswich Town, 2,100 to 200. On to Spain, where I'm going Valencia to beat Mallorca and Real Sociedad to win at Alaves and both teams to score in the Almeria Osasuna and Monday's game between Villarreal and Atletico Madrid, 2,600 to 200. Now, Collis King 6 or Nixa, I'm going Tottenham to beat Luton, Norwich to beat Plymouth, Preston to beat Rotherham, Leeds to win at Watford, Valencia to beat Mallorca, and Roma in the Serie A to be too good for Lecce, 3,400 to 200. So everyone have a happy Easter, and please remember to stay on side.